Never before in all our history have these forces been so united against one candidate as they stand today. They are unanimous in their hate for me, and I welcome their hatred.
The needs of working families and the middle class, not just the billionaire class. We know what's going on. We are paying attention.
Good morning, everybody. It is Saturday. It's that show, the relaxed show. It's I don't really get a weekend, but this is the weekend for like the production team, I guess. Although we do more stuff on the weekend, but whatever, it's Saturday. This is the one where I don't have to worry too much. Although we have a special guest today. We have Eric Burnette. He's a candidate in Oregon CD2. And we're going to talk to him about some stuff that we didn't have time to talk with him about on We the People, which was, that was exciting. And but the card, I just want to talk about the card. This is what happens when a volcano decides it's going to do something in your neighborhood. And I just, we've got so many things going on right now, so many major problems, big issues that we're facing as humanity, climate change and fascist government and Democratic Party that's functioning like a fascist government, and just all sorts of stuff that's big and huge, that we don't really take the time to acknowledge just nature doing its thing. I mean, you really can't stop a volcano. We could try, I suppose we could, if we really put our minds to it, we could do something like in the Star Trek movie where they froze the volcano, but that would take, some Star Trek type technology, and we don't have that. Markus suggested in Green Room that we blow it up because that was suggested for hurricanes, although I think NASA and NOAA presented the physics of that and that it really wouldn't be a good idea. It really wouldn't work. So if it wouldn't work with a hurricane, my guess is it wouldn't work with a volcano either. But the point of that is that it's frustrating, right? Not, it's beautiful, volcanoes are, but it's frustrating when you can't really do anything. You can't affect change on a volcano. It's just, that's what it does. And in a way, it feels that way right now with democracy. It's what it does. Can't really affect change with the top of our government. It seemed apathetic to the suffering of millions of Americans. You can't really affect change in a lot of places in our government because there's just such a stranglehold on power. It's like almost like a volcano. But I think we have a much better chance against old people who are greedy than we do against a volcano. But right now, it does not feel that way. Right now, to me, it feels like we're up against a volcano. And I'm like, I don't know what to do, but I'm pissed at it. Pissed. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
That works for me. And gee, now I'm really depressed.
This was,
Thanks,
listen,
John.
Good morning, everybody.
This is great.
It was meant to be, well, it wasn't meant to be
profound.
happy. I don't.
It was profound, and it's a great analogy. It's like, oh, okay.
It's a great start to the weekend, guys.
Yeah. My favorite morning of the week. Oh, well.
Yeah, so you can't fool Mother Nature. No, and I'm so sorry that I didn't, listen, it was much more depressing. I've been working on this for 2 hours. What the hell am I going to say? And that's the cheeriest I got. Okay?
I can attest. That's the cheeriest I've seen you yet this morning.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
There you go. But I wanted to say, just for as far as that goes, I was sharing in Green Room that I have a friend of mine, a landscape designer, has got an absolutely incredible garden that's very close to where all this is happening. And he's been sharing a lot of it on Facebook. And it's really poignant. The lava didn't go through, but all the sulfur dioxide and all the chemicals were just melting his plants, right and left. But he's been very philosophical about it. He said, look, I've planted, I've made this garden on a side of a live volcano. I should expect that this could happen. And he kind of made a deal like, I will take care of this land, Pele, if you will take care of me. So it's just so sad to see some of these amazing places just get swallowed up.
Yeah, and it sounds like Pele said, "Move your garden."
Yeah, exactly. and he is, or he's just watching it go, and then he'll rebuild, or I don't know.
What are we gonna do? Yeah, that's cool. All right, so good morning, everybody. We got a lot going on. There's a lot of news. There's a lot of content to cover, and I don't even have enough cameras to put Eric on screen. We have Eric waiting, so we're just gonna. And I see y'all saying good morning. I haven't had a chance to say Jeffrey and Barbara and Jilly.
Morning.
Yeah. Morning. Thanks for being here. I'm just going to kick it right over to Laura and introduce our guest while I get him set up.
Okay.
Go for
it. Good morning.
Well, recently we had Eric Burnette, who's running for Congress in Oregon's 2nd Congressional District. And we had so much to say during that hour that we realized that there was a couple of cool topics that he'd wanted to mention that we didn't get a chance to do. So I said, well, we're doing this thing where prior to a primary, like Oregon's congressional primary on Tuesday, we're going to have people on if we can. And so we thought we'd use this opportunity to address another topic. So Eric, welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. So the topic that you wanted to discuss was a shadow cabinet.
Yeah, exactly.
So I know it's not a new concept, but it's something that you want us to know about. So please share what that is and why it's important.
Well, I think basically the thing to say about a shadow cabinet is, first, before you start in, don't think of the noun shadow, think of the verb, to shadow somebody or something. And that's really the best way to think this through. A shadow cabinet exists when you have a political opposition, in this case the Democrats in our government right now, or let's just say in Great Britain it would be Labour as opposition to the Tories. Shadow cabinet exists basically to allow every single member of the cabinet to have a counterpart in opposition who can respond in real time or near real time every time the government in power does something, especially something that it disagrees with. And this is a concept that's kind of known over much of the rest of the world, and it's one that we could apply here. We already have had some significant efforts towards a progressive shadow cabinet. I believe that it's something that the Democratic Party ought to adopt for itself and formalize, that we need to be able to respond to the things that are coming out of the Trump administration in real time or near real time in the same news cycle, rather than having to wait for something to filter its way through Chuck Schumer's or Nancy Pelosi's offices and come out 4 days after the fact when it's stale news.
Interesting. So the shadow cabinet is officially appointed then? By whom? How is that administered?
It varies, and in different governments, the opposition party would appoint it, or a coalition of opposition parties. It is typically composed of people in the legislative body. In this case, would be the House or the Senate, who would aspire to hold at some point those cabinet posts. And so it's a really good training ground. Tony Blair, for instance, was in opposition and was a shadow cabinet member, and that was sort of his path to ascendancy.
I see.
It is a very powerful tool to put your finger up and say, wait, you don't want to do that. You actually want to do this instead, because if you do that, these bad things are going to happen. So think this through.
Right.
And it's a very effective way to, it's an effective check and balance on policy.
It's Bernie Sanders has been kind of our voice for that. He's, whenever there has been something particularly worthwhile to talk about, he's up there, usually giving the position that we all say, yeah, that's really how we would like to see it done.
And we're fortunate that he's discovered a day that has 36 to 48 hours in it.
I don't know how he does it.
But what we need to do is formalize that role, and I think it would be an interesting exercise.
Yeah.
To look as progressives or even just as Democrats and say, okay, who would you want in these cabinet slots?
Right.
Who would be good to fill that? I've got some ideas, but I will bet you that your audience has a whole bunch of ideas, many of which are going to be way better than mine.
Yeah. John, put up slide 7, which has got the list of cabinet positions. And I'll try and find a way to put that in the there. So everybody in chat, or people, if you are watching this after the fact, let's leave this up for a minute. You can see these are all the big names, the Attorney General and all the secretaries, et cetera, et cetera. If you have a nominee for any of these positions as a shadow opposition cabinet to our current administration, please put it in the comments of the video, and we will that will allow it to live with the video, and you can see what everybody is nominating. But I think that would be a very interesting exercise for y'all, because you do tend to have opinions on things.
Yeah, and I would love to see Elizabeth Warren plugged in there somewhere.
Yeah. So yeah, what are some of the key ones? You start, Eric. Give us your top 3.
Hashtag shadow cabinet.
Hashtag shadow cabinet. For in any economic position, let's put Elizabeth Warren in there. She's smart. She was basically the brain behind the Consumer Protection Bureau. And we can certainly think of the people who are in there now and what's not so great. Does it have to be somebody from the government? No, but it probably should be. Still, nonetheless, for EPA, I sure would like to see Bill McKibben in there.
Oh, yeah.
There's a thought. Doesn't necessarily have to be somebody from the House.
It could be. This is our dream team. We can nominate whoever we want, you guys. So please think about it and put it in the comments.
That's exactly.
And actually, you can put it in chat now too, because the chat stays with the video now. So that actually is very helpful. So give a shout out.
And when I'm elected, when I'm back in DC, this is something that I intend to push for. And this is something that actually incoming members of Congress could organize. I don't think you necessarily want the first people to do this in their first term in Congress. You want people to have more experience, but sure as heck, if you have new people coming in, they can run this, they can administer it, and they can support it. And
they can choose people even if they're not the ones who are nominating it for it. They can have a firsthand look at who they would like based on what they see, especially as freshmen, Congress people, with a fresh eye and less jaded.
Exactly. And so for me, coming out of Maritime Academy background, for instance, transportation would be a big one for me. Would I be the right person first time through? No, probably not. But I know a gentleman by the name of Peter DeFazio who'd be pretty doggone good.
Yeah.
Josh Fox for EPA. That's another one.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And there are going to be multiple good answers to each of these.
Yeah. Okay. So everybody, don't be shy. Shout it out.
No Warren.
Okay. So Eric, you have got a primary coming up on Tuesday.
Yes.
Take 2 minutes and give us a little bit of a stump speech as you go into that important day.
Well, yeah. Basically, as you know, Oregon is a vote by mail state, so a high percentage of the folks have already voted, already mailed their ballots in. If you're in Oregon and you haven't mailed your ballot in, you got to drop it off now, because the postal service won't be able to get it in on time. So this is all, this is something that anybody who's involved in politics, either party, any party, should be able to help you get your ballot to in. Vote for me if you're in CD2, but even more important, vote. We are expecting to do well. We've run a really strongly pro-labor campaign. I was out canvassing down in the Medford area with Athena Goldberg yesterday. And Evan Leslie from Oregon AFL-CIO. And I think we are going to see one heck of a strong showing for labor in what's been presumed to be a red, I'm going to call it purple district.
Okay.
We're doing well.
Good. Well, we will be reporting on the results of that primary next Saturday. So everybody, cross your fingers and do the right thing.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah. It's so nice to have you. Thank you for coming, and good luck.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you again.
Yeah, great. Cool.
All right.
So now I think that that was it. And Eric, you're welcome to hang out and mute and watch, or you're free to go and do your candidate thing.
I'm going to have to get back on the phone, and we're calling folks who haven't voted yet. Just say, get ballots in, it's time. So that's what I'm up to for the rest of the day. Another couple hundred phone calls as long as my voice holds out.
Okay. Hey, y'all. Morgan, if your phone rings, pick it up. It's Eric.
I do. All right, so I hate to do this, but I had a couple questions about this shadow cabinet thing, and I just wanted to ask him honestly.
Oh shoot! Yeah, we should have that whole question.
I didn't know if there was anybody in the audience had any questions. I mean, I know we can pick people.
No, ask them.
Right?
Ask them, John.
And I don't have myself set up on a camera here, but so I'm just going to leave you there. Okay. My question, two questions. All right. One, I mean, the idea of the power here, Eric, is that they work together as a body, and they say, well, I'm replacing, I'm the secretary of whatever education if we had a good government, and here's what I say, right? But isn't that the purpose of like a caucus when they form like the veterans caucus or this caucus or that caucus is a group of people standing together to say this is what we stand for without taking pseudo roles?
Yes, it is. That is a function of a caucus, and you're completely correct to see that those two Venn diagrams overlap. You're completely correct about that. They do overlap. The difference, I think, now, and this is something that when shadow cabinets were conceived decades and decades ago in parliamentary systems mostly, we didn't have a short news cycle like this. And so that idea of a caucus was pretty effective because 3 days later there'd be an article in the New York Times or the Chicago Tribune or something like that, and bingo, you'd have that piece covered. At this point, though, with Twitter storms driving the news cycle, we need to be able to get out in front of it within the same news cycle in near real time, and this gives us the ability to do that.
All right, so in that sense, I see where it's similar to the NASA, alt Secretary of Defense that we have on Twitter that we're pushing. So, that might be the modern version of it. The other question I had was really just only half joking, but how many of these positions are yet unfilled or in limbo because of people that have been fired or quit or prosecuted or... I mean, aren't we missing some of these? We didn't have a Secretary of the Navy for a while. I don't know if that's on this list. I don't know if we still don't have a Secretary of the Navy. We've been crashing boats all over the ocean. I mean,
we don't. And that, if anything, is frankly an even stronger argument in favor of the shadow cabinet. If they haven't bothered to fill the seat, well, we can supply some answers. Why? Let's do that.
And can't we just
We're
be
helping.
like,
we at least put the front of the line, right?
There needs to be a law that's by default if they've been doing a job, okay, you get it. So
yeah, there you go.
Bill, we don't really have an EPA to just do it, man. Just walk into the building and do it. All right, that's all. Thank you.
Okay.
That was great.
Thank you. Good point.
Okay, pleasure, and thank you again. You folks are performing a really valuable service here. It's a pleasure.
Oh,
thank you so much.
Thank you. Very kind.
Before we move on, I just want to tell everybody that we actually are doing, or Larry Taylor is trying to put together, we're working on this right now, an election night coverage for Oregon on May 15th. And I think we were talking to Eric about being on there, and he just took off his headphones, so I can't confirm. But we should be.
He does need to close his window.
Yeah, we should be reaching out to the campaign, having him on, and some other people. So yeah, we're going to do that, and so that's next Tuesday, which is only a couple days away. Join us for that. If you're an Oregonian and you haven't mailed your ballot, you need to take it to a place and stick it in there. You can't just drop it in the mailbox now. It's too late.
Right.
That's the important part. And now that Eric's left, I have to reset cameras. One moment. All right, where are you, Joe? Let's put you over here. There's Joe. There we go. All right.
Yay, I'm back.
Yay.
Let's see. There's the whole crew. The
Poor
happy
Joe.
crew.
Yeah. Here we are.
So what do you guys think of that idea? Shadow cabinet.
I think it's interesting.
I thought he had two things he wanted to talk about.
We did, but we only had a short window, and that was the most important thing that he wanted to talk about. The other one was job destruction, and we'll just
Oh, all right.
we'll save that for another time.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, guys. Just a quick reminder to everybody: we are being censored like madness.
I know. We dropped below 14,000 subscribers too again.
Yeah.
That's not right.
They're just being unsubscribed insanely.
Yeah.
And it's not like we got worse. I mean, if you didn't like what we were doing before, it's not like we got worse. So I don't know why that would happen. And we're no longer being featured in suggested search. which
Really?
basically destroyed our. Yeah, it's just not happening. A lot of people are talking about it, and our content is being marked as unadvertiser friendly, and so that really affects what's going on. Just also, there was a story that came out in recently about a person who was posting stuff about the police, about brutality online, and the FBI targeted this person and basically arrested them under the first some bullshit new law that they can arrest people for that, basically speaking their mind and having First Amendment rights. We're really on the verge here. I mean, this is Nazi shit, and you know, it's the problem is mainstream media is feeding it because it helps crush us. And the reason I say that is that we just need everybody to help and share the content. We don't, you know, that's it. We need you guys to be the promotional tool for this content, because Eric only gets the views that he gets, right? And the opponent, like, you know, the opponent could probably get airtime. The incumbent, go get airtime on any of the news channels. Just call them up. Hi, want to interview me? Done. Right. We don't have that option. They don't even give a shit. The local news, other than writing a few stories, hasn't given a shit about interviewing any progressive candidates. Any. All right. So I get that they wrote their bit story where they said incumbent X is running against these 4 people, but they have given none of those 4 people any due airtime as a public service.
They might give them like a 10-minute interview like 2 weeks before the election.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
That would be nice. Anyway, that's just where we're at, folks.
Yeah, and there's another story about YouTube that they are starting to closing channels which are dealing with the topics about weed, you know. And
oh yeah, that's true.
It gets more and more censored on this platform. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, there's also another one about how there's a YouTuber who associated with I think it was a startup that had to do with Kratom, and he got shut down. So, and it's just getting worse and worse, not just on YouTube, it's also Facebook's the same kind of deal. It's like Mark Zuckerberg's like, now I'm going to decide what kind of news content is actual news. And I'm like, no, why?
Right.
It's all going in the favor of corporations, basically.
Well, yeah. And when they say they're going to help us determine what is or isn't fake news, that just tells you right there. Yeah. Censorship. Yeah. Anyway, moving on to some more, I guess this is happy stuff. Primaries?
Yes, our primaries preview. And I just did get an update from Douglas Whitmore, but let's start with, well, we've got our primaries coming up on next Tuesday, or Oregon, Pennsylvania, Nebraska, and Idaho. And Eric just represented our Oregon contingent for us today. And we have interviewed people from Pennsylvania and Nebraska, no one from Idaho, though. So, but here's our little updates to what's coming up next week in the primaries. And Markus is going to talk about John.
Markus is going to talk about this one? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. We interviewed in the past, for example, Douglas Whitmore from Nebraska. He was or is running for the Senate, but as an independent. But to be honest, we don't have any information if he's still in the race or not.
Oh, I do. I do have an update from him. Yeah, you talk about John, and then I'll tell you what.
All right.
And I'm hoping actually Doug will chime in. We'll join chat. I literally just got it this second.
Good. All right. Okay. Good. Yes, the other candidate for next week is one of my favorites. Is John Fetterman, who is running for lieutenant governor in Pennsylvania. And and we learned that finally it came to the point that Bernie endorsed John Fetterman and he campaigned for him. And it was a thingy which I was waiting for quite a long time, and we were asking ourselves about the complete 1.5 years or longer. Why didn't Bernie endorse John Fetterman during the 2016 campaign? And anyway, he did it now, and John Fetterman has good chances from what I read in the local press, and he's one of the strong candidates in this race. And I got for you a little piece coming from the Bernie Sanders campaign where he endorses John Fetterman. And look at the photo. It is great to see Bernie Sanders standing on a podium with John Fetterman written in front. You know, this is really what I was waiting for a long time.
Yeah.
Maybe, John, you can run the footage.
Feel the burn! Feel the burn! Feel the burn! Feel Brothers and sisters, what John's campaign is about and what we're here tonight for is more than just an election for lieutenant governor. We are here to elect John and to work with John to transform this country. We are here to say that in the wealthiest country in the history of the world, we should not have the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any major country. We are here to say that in America, we should not have the top 1/10 of 1% owning as much wealth as the bottom 90%. So we need to stand together. We need to elect John. We need to work with John. We need to elect candidates for the school board, for city council, for state legislature. We need to stand up for economic justice, for social justice, for racial justice, for environmental justice. And we need to tell the billionaire class who control our economic and political life, their day has come and it's going. The American people are going to take over government, not wealthy campaign contributors. Thank you all.
Wow.
Yeah. Powerful. Bernie, you know?
I got to say,
Yes.
just like, I don't know if anybody caught this, but he just used the words, the American people are going to take over government.
Yes, in the end.
Like, that's subtly strong. That's making a statement right there. He's never used the words take over before, right? Participate. This is a political revolution. But
Right.
take over. Like, we're done with the shit. You know? I like that.
I miss Bernie.
I do too. Oh, it was so nice. Oh my god, all my cameras are fucked. Hang on. I can't.
And
Oh, where'd Joe go? Oh, Joe's hiding behind there. Go ahead, Marcus.
Oh,
Sorry.
great.
I see Douglas is with us in chat. Hello, Douglas.
Yes, I'm chatting with Douglas on Facebook, and I said, come on in and chime in and let us know you're still alive. And here he is.
Yeah,
See?
cool.
This is the power of engagement broadcasting.
Oh, except there's multiple
absolutely.
people. Shit. Hang on. Jesus.
You got two of me.
I know. This is double Laura. Why not?
Double Laura,
Come on,
dude.
everybody.
No, it's single Laura.
It's double Laura.
It's a double Laura Saturday.
Yeah, I'm not even going to go there.
You can't have enough Laura.
Shut up. Aren't you guys?
There. That works until I figure out what I did.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we should put up Douglas's side.
What's next? Okay, let's talk about Doug. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, is this your turn? Okay.
Yeah, it's my turn.
Okay.
Oh, unless were you done?
Yeah, I'm done with.
Okay.
I'm not done with John, but yes, I wish him all the best, of course. And
No, I
give
mean Bernie
everyone
really
else-
kind of said it all for us. Anyway, I just reached out to Doug because we didn't see him listed on Ballotpedia as being part of the Senate race in Nebraska, and we know he is because we interviewed him last November. So he said, yes, I'm active, and yet being nonpartisan, remember he's independent, and with the oppressive ballot access requirements in Nebraska, he is obviously not involved in the primaries, and no one counts him as on the state of Nebraska Election Commission. They only show him as someone who is collecting signatures, although he's done all his paperwork and paid his requirements. So we've seen this shenanigans before.
Yeah.
California, you have to pay $25 a word for your candidate statement.
Yeah.
Go $25 a word. People, please, really? So yeah, they're not making it easy for independents or anybody to, without money, to get a big voice on the California ballot as well. So Douglas, we're glad we'll track you through to the general, and Douglas is in chat. If you want to throw out anything else about what's going on, Doug, please feel free.
Nice. Thanks.
So there's some live engagement broadcasting right there.
Yeah. Thank you, Doug. Thank you for running. Thank you for joining us in chat.
Yeah. So now we're going to look ahead to, look back on the week past. What happened to the primaries that we were talking about last Saturday. And sadly, our candidates did not win, but I am really impressed by what they did do with what they were given. Paula Swearingen particularly, what a badass. So mainstream media wasn't mentioning her at all. She was she might as well not have existed. And that's really a shame. And yet she got 30% of the freaking vote against Joe Manchin in West Virginia. So, and she accepted my Facebook friend request this week. So she's still alive. She's still in it. And I hope that she will run for another office in West Virginia and get in there at some level, because she really did an amazing campaign. I was so impressed with just her dedication and how much of herself she put into this, and how obviously she feels passionately about it. So I hope that she finds another.
Yeah. I just want to give everybody a reality check on that. So just in terms of how hard things are, right? Paula got like the full force of independent media. Think about that. Mm-hmm. Every independent media outlet that was big, all the video makers, Act TV, TYT, Democracy Now, everybody pushed her in independent media, and 30%, right? In a tough race. I mean, Manchin's pretty high up there in the monarchy, right? He wasn't he like number 3 or number 4 in the Crown?
Oh yeah,
right?
He's establishment as they come.
Okay. So everybody needs to like think of that in terms of our resources in this war and the power that we have currently in our press media and what needs to happen, right? Because that's really what happens there, is that the mainstream media blackouts and silences our movement.
Yeah.
My father, while he is, stays interested in political content and thinks he knows what's going on, he's watching MSM. He has no idea of the progressive candidates that are running anywhere.
Yeah.
Because they're not mentioned. Yeah. And when I tell him, I'm like, well, there's a progressive running in your district. Oh, right.
Yeah, but that's the point, John. Though she got full coverage by independent media, she didn't succeed to win this, But on the other hand, just as you said, those people who are used to get their information from the mainstream news, they don't know those candidates. And from this point of view, I see the 30+% very, very impressive.
Oh yeah.
It's a great number, though it is of course disappointing she didn't win. It's great, and if you look, if we go to Jenny Marshall in a bit, Laura has to present much better numbers.
Yeah. No, agreed.
So yeah, Paula, and considering that she was against such a powerful opponent, given a different race with a less powerful opponent, she would have done even better. But again, and I'm going to mention this for all 3 of our candidates, that really, as we've been saying since the beginning, on the progressive side of things, there's no such thing as a losing race, because people are stepping up from all walks of life and showing us how to do it.
Right.
Whether they win or not, we got to see the Paulas and the Jennys and the Sams step up in their own unique ways. And that's really where we are now, is just identifying who are the people that are going to stand up and follow Bernie's example and have it come from us.
Right. My point was actually that we have to do better for Paula Jean. Yeah. Right. That if we want her to win, we have to do more.
Yeah.
She did great. We need to do more.
She needs it to be known.
And I think Eric said it. I think he said it. But all of these people that are running now, whether they, if they lose their races, which the vast majority of the Progressive Party is going to lose. We can't think that way, but that's what's going to happen. Once it does, though, we have a seasoned candidate to run for something else.
Yes.
And we need to pick them back up, let them take a break, and then support them in whatever other role of power they would like to take, because they have a much better chance of getting that one.
Exactly.
That's how it works.
So, Jenny, let's go to North Carolina, shall we?
All right, North Carolina.
Yeah.
Bing. Ding. She was a great interview, actually.
She was lovely, and we had her on. We had a recorded interview with her that John did just last week. And so Jenny Marshall was running for District 5 in North Carolina. And the results really show you what she was up against. in that district. So while she got 45% of the vote against her Democratic opponent, which was like 12, almost 13,000 votes, the incumbent Republican candidate, Virginia Fox, got 32,000 votes, over twice what the winner of the Democratic did. So this is a red district. Yeah. So, but just looking from the Democratic side, to see her get almost 50% of the vote from that. And again, a similar situation where I'm sure she was not promoted nearly as much as her opponent.
Well, so Dee Dee Adams was already in government. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
She was a city council person, or is a
exactly. So you get someone who's a seasoned candidate now. So,
right.
So hopefully we'll be really interested to see what Jenny does next. Right. She was great, and she ran a great campaign. And if you are donating to her, please, I heard something, I believe it was on Twitter or Facebook, saying, you know, they've got some expenses to close up their campaign. So helping all of our candidates out as they close out their campaigns is a nice thing to do.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then Sam, we had Sam on the show last week, and Sam was running for District 1 in Ohio against a entrenched incumbent Republican, and Sam ran as a Republican, switched over to run in that race, and he got 17% of the vote. But damn it, he showed up. And this is a guy who works full time and is in the military reserve. So he is, and he's 27 years old. So let's just say that Sam has now run for several major offices before the age of 30. Yeah. We still think he's a major badass, and we'll be very interested to see where he pops up next in the cycle, older and wiser and more seasoned.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's definitely got the will and energy for it. So good luck, Sam.
Yay, Sam. Okay, Marcus, over to you. Last week.
Okay.
Well, actually, before we do go on to that, though, I do want to slightly talk about so John mentioned this. A lot of us progressives are probably going to lose in this election cycle, which is unfortunate, but it's just how it is. We just started our fight, and let's be honest here, we aren't ready. We don't have this. We talked about this with Ajo in Progressive California. Marcus is about to get to that, but we aren't ready, and that's what we get to learn from this election cycle, which is great. And seeing candidates like Paula Jean, Sam Ronan, and Jenny, they lost their races, but they're inspirational and they're smart, and they gain experience from this. So I have no doubt that they'll be back. They'll be running for more seats. They might be back for city council. I don't know. And I'm sure that they'll learn and they'll grow with that. I'm not that concerned about the candidates here. What I do worry, though, is the progressive organizations who have been going through drama, who have been going through different sorts of issues and problems. This is something that we're going to have to look out for, because I feel that they might not grow. Because I feel like there are certain organizations out there, not naming anything, but that might look at this and go and start, maybe pulling a little bit of a Hillary. Just going around saying, oh, this is what happened, blaming everyone but themselves, when they could indeed be doing some self-reflecting and fixing things. And John also mentioned independent media here. I have a massive bone to pick with TYT, to be honest, over how they've done some of their things. I'm not going to really go over it until after the elections, but there are things that we should be working on that doesn't have to do with the candidates, that has to do with the organizations, that has to do with independent media, that I fear won't happen. Which it's vital that we do learn from this election cycle, because although we'll lose, there'll be 2020, there'll be 2022. There's going to be a period where progressives can indeed win, can indeed get better. And it'll be such a shame if these organizations and independent media, if they don't learn from this. And what I am really concerned about right now is that we're not going to. That certain groups that are influential, that do have the power, that do have that capability, just won't. And I'm kind of looking out on this, but I'm starting to notice a trend of sorts, which is very concerning to me. So if you are involved in a progressive organization, or if you know of one, just be aware and just try to learn from the 2018 experience here. That's all.
Well said. Well said. I think
that works.
We've seen this happen before, right? And I think Joe's right. You're going to have a lot of organizations that are going to start up and lose their way and crumble or go to the dark side or, you know, switch their meanings. And yeah, I think there's a lot of concern with that. I wish I could go back and really remember when the Tea Party started to see how few people of theirs won offices, right? You know, and that's really where we're at, is in that same kind of, how do we organize ourselves to be powerful enough to put our people in power? That's all it's really going on here, and it's going to take continual battle and seasoned champions, which sucks because it shouldn't in a goddamn democracy. Shouldn't take all this shit. It really shouldn't. Anyway, it's a lot of harsh realities today. Volcanoes.
Yeah.
Progressive candidates winning, you know,
Yes.
that kind of stuff. Anyway, what's next?
Let's get real Saturday.
Yes.
Let's get the real Saturday and start looking back to last week.
Oh, and before we move on, I want to tell everybody, I did see your comments. Nice choices for cabinet people. I thought
Oh, good.
Kucinich was a good idea somewhere. Secretary of Interior, somebody said. That's a good idea. While I don't think the cabinet would have any actual influential power, I think it's a neat idea. So I think it would be kind of cool to do that. You know, and then offer them the role and then say, look, here's what our alternate government would do. Look at that. In a sane world, we'd get this. In a functional democracy, even with insane people, we'd get this. You know, that's what's amazing about it. Anyway, so thank you. Nice comments. I just wanted to say that. Thank you all for being here. There's more than 41 watching right now. And I appreciate you being here. Thanks. It's I sent out an annoying letter. 3 people unsubscribed, so I apologize for pissing you off. I hope you still watch the shows. But I don't send out the action emails that often. But what I said was there's basically less than 100 people that support this program and work in a volunteer crew. Think about that. All right.
Yeah.
After 3 years. Wow.
I mean, that's in one sense, I'm like incredibly proud. That's fucking amazing that we accomplish what we do with so few people in the support mechanism. On the other hand, I'm like, gosh, imagine what we could do if we could reach out to more people who were willing to help us. And the point there is not to help us, right? The point there is to help candidates. I try to make that very clear. I'm not like
to help themselves in the end, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's self-service in the end.
It is. So thank you all, because with a really small amount of people, we do some incredibly badass shit.
We do.
We do. And I like, I'm still trying to get goddamn shirts made for volunteers. It's still not done. And we're the worst volunteer organization ever. We do nothing for our volunteers. It's like, thank you for joining. Get to work. Thanks.
Yeah.
No, I don't have a shirt or a button or a fucking sticker. I got nothing for your ass.
Yeah, you can buy one for yourself.
Oh, yes. Yes, it's true. Mugs are $27. Hoodies are $60.
T-shirts are $27.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the point, you know.
It's so that's even like more of it. It's like, that's how much more amazing this is that you all donate to this, knowing that we treat our volunteers like shit, and our volunteers stay here knowing that they get nothing in return but the effort that we have and the few hundred views that we get. So thank you all.
All right, your volunteers pay to be here. It's even better than that.
Yes, you. The owners. Yeah, I'm not even going to go into that structure.
Hey, I'm a vice president, so
and you pay to be that.
Which is nice.
One of the few vice presidents that pays for that option.
I don't know about that.
Wow, Density. Thank you. Thank you very much, Density.
Oh, thank you, Density.
Oh, we got a bone from Density.
Awesome.
Thank you, Dennis.
This deserves a bone. I just
at least we got you laughing again, John. So that's
did.
Yes, victory.
Man, I get so depressed by Saturday. Just like, what a shit week.
Honey.
I really did feel like the volcano this morning. It's like, man. Anyway, it's
you need to be surrounded by your Brady Bunch family here.
Yeah,
it is. I saw you guys make a comment about the Brady Bunch.
Have you in the middle, John?
I gotta build a new graphic set with smaller cubes or something to do that. I need more.
Start looking like the Hollywood Squares. You can be Paul Lind.
I would love to do a game show like that with candidates or with sitting reps. That'd be great.
Yeah, we
have
talked
him on.
about this. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about this. Just some kind of, we need to turn democracy into something that's more entertainment oriented, but factually based and comprehensive, accomplishing things, not just like for fun, like it is now, right?
Entertainment, but fact-oriented news. What a concept!
Yeah,
Right.
and with wild lions, you know.
Well, of course.
What?
And the scorpions.
This isn't Siegfried and Roy.
No scorpions. No scorpions allowed. No.
No Siegfried and Roy either. No.
Oh man, you guys are awesome. Add more zeros to our salaries. Yes, Jeffrey.
Yes.
Yes, everybody gets a raise.
Everybody gets
Yes.
3 more zeros and a comma.
Triple O.
There was something else I was going to say, but I don't remember what the hell it is now. Where are we at on this talking? Oh, we got the Voice of Oregon show tomorrow.
Last week.
And the funny thing is that John said in the green room that he, under no circumstances, wants to do another 2.5-hour show today.
Hey,
And we are on a good
we're not
way
even
to-
at an hour yet.
No, we're not even at, we're doing good. We're not even
Yeah.
at an hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to get out of here quick.
A lot of content to cover here. Okay. Anyway.
Well, this isn't last week. This is next week.
What?
John's just ready to go.
Hey, guys.
There you go.
You know, leave me alone.
Let us know last week if we can.
There, Marcus. You
No, we
talked
got
about
it
last week.
I gotta start with I gotta plead guilty because I didn't see the the Progressive Oregon show, and I skipped it. Yes, and I would like to go over directly. Joe teased it already to Progressive California and to Adriel Hampton. And
Yes.
But this is what was on. This was on.
what do you mean?
But he didn't watch it. He doesn't have a clip.
Well, I don't.
Yes, the
That's
clip.
fine.
Well,
The
you
clip,
tell.
you know?
Tell us about it, John.
Look,
What was
I
on
just,
last week?
so first of all, her name is Megan Salter, and a lot of
okay,
people
I'm sorry.
pronounce it Slater, anyway. Both Megan and Bill were excellent candidates. I was very impressed with what they had to say, and both of them need your support because they're both progressives running against some incumbent Democrat that's not. Bill may be running in a place where there's a Republican. Either way, the Progressive Oregon show interviews at least 2 people a week that are involved as progressives and candidates, and that's pretty good. Need your help sharing that content. I don't have a clip either, but they were both excellent. I need to actually. That's not true. I cut both of these out as short segments, so both their interviews are on the YouTube channel. It's like a 20-minute interview each. Go grab them and share them. Watch them. Learn more about those. I was very impressed. Bill reminded me of my dad.
No.
Oh,
All right, Marcus, go on.
okay. So, Adriel Hampton and what he has to say about the situation of the progressives in California. And from what he says, I was very worried and surprised and shocked at the same time. And if you can roll it.
Oh,
It's a
no, I'm
very
not
short
ready.
one.
Jeez.
Okay, I'm not ready. Yeah. Because the thing is, I think California, for me as a German, is known to be very progressive, and I always thought that there is a huge supportership down there. And Adriel Hampton, taught me a different lesson in what he said.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. California is democratic, not progressive.
Progressive Democrats.
On your slide, I think that so there's an interesting one of the things we'll talk about in a minute, like some of the ways to sign up for different events and get involved. But one of the things that's been shocking to me, and it's hard because you want to feel like your side is really, really strong, but we don't have strong progressive institutions in California. And there's not that many volunteers. There's definitely hundreds. There might be thousands, but there are not enough for how many campaigns we have without money, right? So we don't have money and we don't have enough volunteers. So it's really important that institutions like Uphill continue to cover and continue to grow. It's like the audiences are smaller, the donations are smaller, but this is our democracy. I mean, I was actually, I almost, I got a little emotional when you did the intro music with all those beautiful pictures of different parts of California. Yeah. This state is an incredible, incredible state. It just became the 5th largest economy in the world over the UK. But we have so much to do, so much to do.
We do. Now, one thing that we were talking about in Green Room also is that 2018 is a midterm election. It's where
Is that where you want to cut it?
Yeah.
Okay.
This was what I wanted to play, and I'm asking you, Laura, Joe, what's going on in California? Where is the progressive support?
Well, I think that it's a big state with so many different races and so many different groups, and we don't really have an overarching leader. I think Gail McLaughlin is trying hard to be that, but she's also running, running her race and trying to get elected. And I think when she gets elected, that we might have someone who's a bit more of a rallying cry for the progressive movement. But I think it's splintered. Too many different groups, so many different races, so much money on the establishment side of things, and so little money on the progressive side of things. People are getting these ballot measures, like I mentioned before, $25 a word for your ballot statement. It's like that's
crazy. That's $50 for saying fuck off to
exactly. I think one person did
good one.
Someone that we interviewed said something. It was all one big hashtag, so it was one word that gave the name of the website where you could go to actually read his statement.
Was it Freeman Michaels?
Yeah. Freeman, was it Freeman? Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
he had the smart idea to do that. And you're right.
Anyway.
Because they fuck off, basically.
Yeah, but in a written statement in your ballot of hashtag that doesn't really work, So
that'd be amusing, but
it's amusing, and I like the idea.
If I remember, his message was, "I'm running, and this costs me $25 a word." It was something like letting everybody know how absolutely profit-centered the whole thing.
I think he got the URL. This statement costs $25 a word.org or something like that.
Yeah, that was.
So I mean, Joe, would you agree with that? With my assessment, we're just young and raw and poor.
There's a major portion of that, and then there's also the fact that these groups are mainly divided in strategy when it comes down to it, because there are certain groups that are progressive, that are backing corporate free candidates, but at the same time, especially when you look at the U.S. California Senate race, like at the state of that, there are multiple progressives running. Some people have basically just given up on the whole entire notion of actually electing a corporate free progressive at this point. They're like, hey, Kevin DeLeon, he's taking corporate money, but you know what? He's the best chance we got. He's slightly better than Dianne Feinstein. We'll settle with this, and then that leads to more clashes in like progressive organizations, because more others are like, hey, we don't want that. We don't want Kevin DeLeon. Why are you voting for him? One of the interesting things that happened at the California Democratic Convention this year was that there were actually people who were voting for the endorsement who went for Kevin DeLeon, who kind of resigned to that idea and went, okay, I'll vote for Kevin DeLeon because I don't want to vote for Dianne Feinstein. I want to take away the endorsement from her. And people went after her because they were like, hey, there's another guy who's progressive, who's corporate free, Pat Harris, who is also on the ballot for the endorsement nomination. Why don't you vote for her? And then some of these people would just be like, oh, start defending Kevin DeLeon, saying, oh, he's for Medicare for all. So there's a lot of drama there. There's a lot of ununified places there. When it comes to strategy, they're very divided. And then on top of that, the number of candidates don't really help either, because we have a lot of progressive candidates. Something else that Adriel mentioned during the show was that there are a number of progressive candidates who don't have a chance, who would be doing themselves and doing the progressive movement a favor if they would downsize their campaign a little bit, maybe let some of their volunteers go to more winnable races, or drop out basically. So it's a combination of all these things. It shows that we don't have a structure that can really match the establishment at this point, and that's one of the things that I'm concerned about, really, with the 2018 race, that these groups aren't going to learn, that they're just going to point fingers at each other. They're going to oust certain leaders who have been doing a lot of good work, but then by saying, hey, but these people didn't help with the movement, we have to get new leadership out and oust them. And I fear that there's going to be a lot of conflict with these progressive groups that can do a lot of good if only they could come together and learn and get some organization and structure going. But we'll see how that goes, really.
Yeah. I agree, sort of, and then I'm like, this is democracy. You need to get all these wannabe soldiers in there and seasoned and let them filter out into other roles, right? All the people running for Senate offices and that stuff, and that are clogging it, and everybody's thinking, well, it's a problem. The problem is really with your system not having a bunch of people running, right?
Yeah.
So
I think 2020 is going to look a lot different. I hope.
Agreed.
I think
And David Hildebrand was talking about this on Twitter the other night, and he was like, ranked choice voting, if we implement this in California, that'll definitely help with the situation that we run into. And he has a point here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And see, I thought the California system was cool until I realized this. I'm like, oh, and there are better ways, and we need to look at those better ways. And just to clarify, Mo, you asked, his question was, so Allison Hartston is not considered progressive? Well, I mean, that depends on your definition. We had her on; she's pretty much progressive. It's just that we don't know where she is. Apparently, she doesn't do a lot of events, so she hasn't
not
been around.
Real visible. Or
I
transparent.
thought she was nice, good interview, but not around, right?
And then we're starting to see cultist type mentality with Allison Hartson, which has been very concerning to me. Basically, going after David Hildebrand, saying there was this insane claim that he was actually paid off by Dianne Feinstein to split the progressive vote, which I thought was kind of mind blowing, and I was kind of like, do you have evidence of this? And then I got blocked by her. So.
Oh, gosh. Well, David's going to be, not to jump too far ahead, but David is going to be on Progressive California tomorrow night. We can talk about interesting things like this.
Can I gotta ask him this for me, Laura? Ask him. I don't have a way to put give you my screen. Ask him who supports Kevin DeLeon. Like, who's the big entities that are supporting him? Right? Because if the Democratic Party proper supports Feinstein, who the hell supports DeLeon? Why is he considered the big dude? Right?
Yeah, we'll talk to him about that.
Yeah.
That's on my rundown.
All right. Perfect. All right. Who we got down? Andy Caffrey.
Yes.
Last week on We the Peeps.
Yes, we are going over to We the People and Andy Caffrey, a candidate which left me very irritated, to be honest. And it is not from what he said, because mostly I agree to what he said, but it is his questionable taste for ties. Yeah. Anyway, Andy Caffrey was talking about a lot about climate change and what should be done importantly, and it nearly covered the complete show. And I only can advise to watch it in the full show. I would like to address to a question which came at the end of the show. What society, what system do the Americans want? And here is what Andy has to say about this.
Oh, shit, Marcus. Sorry. I don't have it ready. That's totally my fault. I was trying to fix your volume because you're like super quiet.
Oh, again? Okay.
Zoom's doing that thing.
Yeah. Zoom.
Oh, I was just checking it on the live because I was going to see if that was.
Yeah, I don't. Zoom has this issue, everybody, where every so often it just takes the volume of one of the participants and tanks it.
Okay.
And I don't know why. So
is it better now? Or?
No, but here's Andy. Here's that clip. We won't have any problems with this volume. So you agree with cutting a big chunk out of the spending military? I love your idea of using the existing NATO bases, because we got more than 100 stuck all over the world, as actually useful places. Taking the guns out of soldiers' hands, maybe giving them a shovel and a laptop, and having them do something, right?
Yeah, I mean the thing is, look, I hate those people. I hate George W. Bush. I hate all those militarists, all the people all these politicians that I fought over for decades, who have destroyed the wilderness up here. But I really don't have any time to put into punishing them or anything else. And so I think, as much as we can talk about how horrible the empire is, we really have to think about redirecting it. We have to really start putting out there, what society do we want? For example, I would like a new national slogan. They say, oh, it's in God we trust. Well, that started in the 50s as part of the Red Scare. Before that, it was E pluribus unum, out of many one, which is much better, much better.
Yeah,
so I want it to be, we're Americans, we take care of everybody, or we take care of each other.
Absolutely.
And that's got to be the way we think about it. So when you start to think that way, then it's like, of course, everyone should have health care. Of course, everyone should be well fed and have clothes. We want everyone to be able to have good families, that they can look forward to. We don't want to be destroying the world with pollution and with, these horrible weapons, depleted uranium and all the rest of that. So we really have to start talking about what a post-nuclearized, post-fossil fuel, post-nuclear power society looks like. And bioregionalism is a great place to start. You can look up some of this stuff, but there are a lot of people in the Green Party who I think should have been talking about this. And they had a cultural revolutionary project they needed to accomplish. They needed to talk about bioregions. You know, they needed to talk about.
Is that where we stop?
Yes.
Okay, because he went off on this other thing again.
Yes. It was a little bit hard to cut out a piece because he was very fast in his speaking. But anyway, it was interesting what he had to say, and of course, we wish him all the best for his run in his district too.
Yeah, he was super focused on the same thing a lot,
Yes.
and I worked really hard to get him to,
Yes, I saw this.
get away from it. But ice sheets and climate change, and I'm right there with him. Right? I think we're pretty much doomed in that regard. But until like the doom happens, we need to work on other things. That's why he's running. So
Yeah.
nice guy, big ideas. Right?
Okay. I hope my audio is better.
No, it's
still so low. Hold on, then I'll take the mic here. Better now?
well, that's huge. Okay, now you're pulling everybody
all
earballs
right.
out. All right. Watch, careful with your earballs, because
Okay.
those
It's your ball safety month.
Okay, let's go over to the next show with the people. There we had a guest. What?
Don't have to have it that close, man.
Okay, this is a little closer will be fine.
No.
No. A little closer than it was
Tell
before.
me, guys. For me, it's slow. I don't know when the audio changes.
You're fine right there. It's right there,
All right.
my friend. Ignore it. Laura's being mean. She's
All right.
No, I meant a little closer than it was before, not a little closer than it was then. Sorry.
Okay, I will continue like this right now.
You're
Okay.
fine. You're fine.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Coming to
Let's get to the European guy here.
coming to the Scandinavian rooted guy, coming to Niels Persson. And,
Oh, you say it so nice.
yes, and a great guy, great interview. I like him. And during the interview, there was an interesting thought he brought up. It was the thought about sharing. And this is a thingy. This is what I chose from the interview, which I wanted to play. And I hope that John is ready.
This time I was paying attention. There you go.
Oh, cool.
I a quote from your website. I love this. I just was reading bullet points. All of this really just requires better sharing. Pretty much sums up the idea of democratic socialism, right?
We're coming from, and it's kind of like, when we discuss racism and the legacy of slavery, and, we have our modern day sensibilities. That's like, obviously, slavery is obviously an atrocity. We would never think of doing that nowadays. And, expressing racist sentiments, like, yeah, sure, maybe that's done by our president and maybe that's done by some other, extremists, but most like conscious and thinking people would never, assert racist comments. Well, that's in the past, they operated on a different level of consciousness. And so we're seeing a similar thing with this sharing thing, is that in the past, the level of consciousness was, this is mine, that you can't take this. They're trying to get what's mine, separate, put up my fences, get my walls, get a gun. And that is not the way of thinking of the future. The way of thinking in this new paradigm that we're building into is based on the common good and sharing. And you could label it whatever you want. The only thing that I object to about democratic socialism is the fact that those words turn people off and scare them and make them run away. And that's why I'm like, hey, what about sharing? What's a funny thing is you said I got my history of like writing and studying English. I'm a language geek, and the word socialist. The word socialist, I like to look at the etymology, like the roots of words.
Right.
And the word socialism comes from the Proto-Indo-European root that, obviously socius, like social, like sharing, like social friends. And also, but the root sequa, S-E-Q, which is like sequel or sequence. And like capitalism was like cap is like the top, like the first. And then the sequence, or the sequel, if you will, is more about like, what if we just be friends? What if we just make a circle? Like, what if we just share? Sorry if I'm sounding a little too like Northern California for you guys, but I think we need to take a lot of these like advanced, like even spiritual, in like a secular way that honors everybody. But the masters have been telling us from the dawn of time that we need to share and take care of each other. And that's the spirit that I'm calling on right now. It's like, the same spirit that Dr. King talked about.
It's so
it is that of being friends with each other, like brotherhood, sisterhood of mankind, of humankind, where we love and take care of each other. So, you know, call it what you will. I think sharing is like a simple, like kindergarten style term that I like a little better than socialism, but you know,
it works.
Call it what you will.
It works. I mean, it's you know, it's not as scary, you know.
Yeah,
I like him.
I liked him too.
Absolutely great, and he's so right in what he says, and yeah, caring is sharing, as it is said. Sharing is caring, as Jeffrey says in chat, and I only can agree to this. Great candidate, and also good luck for District 5 for his run, and yeah.
Yeah, I was impressed. Didn't we invite him to? What did we invite him to do, Laura? Something.
He had another initiative, the housing thing. I can't remember.
Oh, transition.us.
Yeah, so he wanted to talk about that. So we will.
Yeah, we're gonna get
nice.
Do a video about it.
Never even heard about it, but it's kind of what I want to do down here. It's what Longmont, Colorado is doing. It's just transitioning your city into, I believe, into a something that you all work together. You're not relying on big distribution and all that shit. Anyway, who's next? Let's get through this.
Okay, next would be the Yesterday Show Progressive Washington, and there I have the hope that you can tell us a little bit more about the guest Ryan McAllister, because I was not around yesterday. So.
All right then. Well, let's see. So Ryan is a representative of a union, and basically what's going on here is Janus versus AFSCME, which I'm sure somebody knows how to pronounce correctly in terms of the union. But anyway, the point is this Janus guy thinks that his money going to a union is being used for political purposes, which unions separate that stuff out. But either way, it says because of the way unions function and the fact that unions endorse candidates, that his union money is being used for that. And so what's happening is a case that may change the way unions function or can function, meaning that a person can receive the benefits of a union but opt out of paying union benefits. Okay, I guess it's kind of like greedy folks only paying a certain percentage of Social Security but receiving the full benefit or of any other service because they're greedy folks, right? But anyway, that's what this guy is like. I don't want my money being used for political purposes, and so I want the rules to change that unions will provide their services to anybody, or I have the ability to opt out of paying a fee, but still be fully protected and involved and supported by the union. That's basically what he's saying. So that's and unfortunately, it sounds like it's going to go through. That the Supreme Court most likely will say, yeah, that's not right, and take away some more union power. So that's what that was about. There's a great show on Progressive Washington, really good CD10 discussing Denny Heck, who's basically a Republican who wears Democrat clothes every once in a while, and he's just a guy we need to get out of there, being challenged by a progressive who gets zero airtime or any support from any other entities. So, it's just the same story up in Washington. And it's a great show. They need your support, just like all the shows that happen across Washington, Oregon, and California. And the only way we're going to help progressives is by growing and amplifying the media message, right? Or helping them directly on their campaigns, obviously, would be the most direct way, right? So anyway, that's what went on with Progressive Washington.
Yeah.
And where was it? News review.
And if nobody... No, I don't hear anybody. No, I think we can go over to the news section now, because this is normally the moment where I get interrupted because I forgot.
You're going to send me this one, right? You're going to send me this stuff, right? Please.
Yes, I did.
Oh, here, Markus has it. Markus sends me these.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yes, this is the latest edition, the edition of today of the German Der Spiegel magazine, and as you can see from the hand here, we are fed up with Trump, and the reaction after last week, on Tuesday, Trump decided to get out of the Iran deal, and this was for Europe a very unfortunate moment, to say it like this. The critique was very, very harsh here in Germany and in France and in lots of parts of Europe about what Trump did, because it is discussed in the media already that there is no real reason behind it which would justify what Trump did, because it might be not the best deal, but in the end it's a working deal, which was confirmed by those people who inspect all the nuclear stuff in Iran, and it is better to have a bad deal than no deal. And we didn't see anything coming from 45, which shows us in which direction he wants to go. I can see only one direction he's going, and this is leading to war in this era. And we can see here in this slide, the Spiegel, it is, yeah, Macron and Angela Merkel are very, very upset about it. If we look at the article, I will read it out quickly for you. It says, one part of the article says, "Farewell to America. In truth, Trump hasn't backed out of the deal. He has violated it by simply reimposing sanctions against Iran. That is a view widely held in the German government as well. More than anything, though, Trump has humiliated Europe to a greater degree than any US president before him. Macron fawned over him recently in the White House. Merkel swung by for working lunch, and British Foreign Minister Boris Johnson also made the trip across the Atlantic in an attempt to save the deal and somehow find some kind of compromise. But it was all in vain. In the end, Trump backed out of the deal in the most brutal manner possible, with a combative speech and the reintroduction of all sanctions against Iran. He was unable to offer any convincing reasons for why he has chosen this particular moment in time to leave the deal. He wasn't able to claim that Iran hadn't lived up to its ends of the bargain because Tehran had demonstrably adhered to its provisions. To complete Europe's humiliation, Trump's new US ambassador in Berlin, Richard Grenell, I'll come to this a little bit later, sent out a tweet this week demanding that German companies immediately begin winding down their operations in Iran. It sounded more like the words of a colonial power issuing orders than those of a diplomat in an allied country. And this got the Germans really on the tree, as we say in German, for this, yes, we say it. If we are angry, if we are upset, we are on the tree, if you want so. It's a German expression.
Like what's the literal? Like climbing pissed. A tree like an angry ape, or what? Like
we are pissed. We are pissed. Yes. And
okay, all right.
And yeah.
Well, don't piss off the Germans. We know what happens.
Yeah, but no, but this is a problem. All about this, the human position, the European position in this. They made the deal together with China, with Russia, and the US, and yeah, they are now they are coming to realize what Angela Merkel said half a year ago, that we cannot depend anymore on our American allies. And yeah, this suddenly, with this decision, which was expected, suddenly seems that Europe. Or the European leaders are starting to wake up. If even the beloved friend Macron finds harsh words for Trump's decision, maybe it will help for Europe to find a way how to define itself, its role in the world. And we will see. Trump is threatening companies who are working in Iran to punish them. We will see what the European reaction on this might be. The German government also discussed the possibility to cover all sanctions imposed on European companies by the US financially. We will see where it leads. It doesn't sound good, and for this long partnership, for an over 70-year-long partnership, what happened last week with all the diplomacy behind and before, this is for Europeans, for us in Germany, it is absolutely not acceptable. This is not what we understand of an allied. Of an ally, how to be treated like this from an ally. This is exactly what the article says. This is the colonial power coming to a country and saying you have to do this and this, and this we will not accept here. And we will see where it leads, what steps the Europeans will undertake.
I think they should go to war with us.
Yeah, this is the stupidest solution, of course, and this is not practical.
Why?
If you know the latest reports from German military planes, I think there were four planes which could be used for any for any purpose, and all others are lacking of spare parts or other stuff. And our military is no option to go to war with America.
Don't do it militarily. Do it economically. Do a beer embargo.
And
fuck us all.
The beer embargo would not help us. And this is absolutely what you say is the weak link in it. You know, Europe and Russia and China want to help. To hold up the treaty with Iran, you know, and but it all lies in the money. If the corporations decide no, we are going away from Iran again because we are suffering so much financial loss caused by America, etc., or by pressure from the banks, and we have to go, then this treaty is done, you know. And this is the sad story about this. That it is all about the fucking money, and you know, and the fucking money will decide what will happen in Iran, and how of course the Iranians will react. And this is a fact, which followed the inspectors of the nuclear facilities. They followed it. There was nothing, no point, which was criticized by the specialists. You know. On the other hand, you got to clearly say the Iran government is, in my opinion, a very bad government, to say it like this, and they are having, meanwhile, a huge amount of conventional weapons, and they are indeed threatening their neighbors. And there comes the religion again into this business. You know, the Sunnis and the Shiites who are fighting each other, and it's all a giant mess. And there is absolutely, it is unresponsible for a president to steer all this up by saying no, I don't accept the treaty anymore, and let Iran go, and we will sanction everyone who is making business with them. This is not acceptable.
Well, you know, Marcus, we gave him a chance at democracy, and if they're not willing to,
giant mess is what we've got, and I think that sums it up beautifully, Marcus.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
If we took that map that you have and we overlaid oil supply lines.
Yes, I was thinking the exact same thing.
Exactly. This is what is missing, and the pipelines, would make this mess. It would be the cream of the cake for this mess. What's happening there?
Exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
Well, for more depressing news. What, Joe?
And this just affects everything when you think about it. I mean, it's not just, well, as for Iran, I mean, the people who did push for this deal and get it in the end, I mean, they did a whole ton of political maneuvers to even get us to the table to the point where we could even do this deal. Their face is gone. Like, now the right-wingers are saying, hey, we told you this deal wasn't going to work. And then on top of that, America hasn't been upholding their part of the deal. We haven't lifted up the sanctions. We've been putting more on them. So, like, now it's just helping the right-wingers in Iran out. On top of that, now Israel and Iran are in this military conflict, most likely encouraged by Donald Trump saying, hey, we're pulling out of the Iran nuclear deal. And look, if Israel and Iran start getting into a war, whose side are we going to take? We're probably going to take Israel's side. And the only winners here are going to be the military-industrial complex. And then when you consider how North Korea, we're about to have that meeting with Kim Jong-un, supposedly between Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un in Singapore. We'll see how that goes. But our message that we send to Iran has always been interpreted by North Korea. Our message to North Korea has always been interpreted by Iran as well, because both sides look at each other and they're like, okay, so from North Korea's perspective, Iran was a potential good deal that the U.S. might be upholding. Who knows? And then from Iran's end, well, we'll see if North Korea can actually keep their nuclear weapons with this deal, because then it's like, okay, if they are allowed to have nuclear weapons, well, why can't we, the Iranians, have nuclear weapons too? So this whole entire decision that Trump made is just going to have a ripple effect. And I hope that it doesn't go wrong. And I hope that Korea can get to some state of peace. But who knows now? And this is what happens when we have an orange buffoon who can be easily swayed by the warmongers in his fucking cabinet.
If I was Kim Jong-un, I would said that yes, I would try for any price to get the nuclear weapon, because if you have it, you cannot be fooled like the Iran with this with what happened last week. You know?
And then look at Libya. I mean, like, look at all the other past deals that the United States has made and broke over the years. I mean,
and you got and if you look back when the treaty was made with Iran, you know, do you know what happened the same year? It goes on in the article. The moment the treaty was issued, the United States sold over 100 billion worth of new weapons to Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, another 40 billion, billion, not million, to Israel. You know, the Iranians gave up their most important strategic asset, and instead the US actually strengthened the conventionally military capability of its neighbors. You know, even under those considerations, they agreed and they stuck to the treaty. You know. And of course, this is not good. And you're absolutely right. Iran doesn't tolerate weak leaders, you know.
Yeah.
And for the right wingers, it is the best news they could get.
Give them a gift.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's I don't know. So it sounds to me like in the general overview that what's happening is just we need to sell weapons. They have a shelf life. Israel is a great customer, and you know. Now we have a reason to sell them more weapons. We're using more. Other countries are using more. It really doesn't matter what country uses the weapons. We'll get them more. That's all we need to do here is poke the fire. We're just poke it. Somebody's going to buy more weapons. Who's going to shoot some weapons? That's all we're doing. Right? The thing that makes me laugh about all this, it's not funny. People are dying. But what makes me laugh is the idea of Donald Trump sitting down to negotiate with anybody. But with Kim Jong-un, it would be like two kids sharing a Happy Meal and watching Fox News for an hour, right? It's like, hey, we both eat the same shit. Let's watch this crap. Yeah, great meeting. Blow each other up, yay. You know, I don't know. It's the same facade that we've seen with our military-industrial complex over and over and over again. This one's just been orchestrated like a junior high play. Usually it's done really well. Obama did it really well. That's why when you tell people Obama was a warmonger, they're no, Nobel Peace Prize, Obama. That's the ultimate in deception when you win a fucking peace prize while you're bombing 7 countries and creating a complete drone army. And your people love you. Gosh, I miss Obama, don't you? He did everything so much more pro. You never knew he was fucking everybody. You never knew he was fracking the world. You never heard about that stuff. It was just Obama and Hoops and Michelle and everything was happy and it was great.
Full-on Hollywood Broadway production.
Yeah, and with Trump, we get basically the 1960s Batman criminals. You know?
Oh, bad.
There's a statistic I read recently about what the Arabian youth in this region thought about the U.S. You know, and it's unimaginable. You know, if you know that Obama had so many drones in the air. You know, 2/3 of the youth in the Arabian countries had a high opinion of the U.S., which now, of course, completely changed with 45 in office.
Really?
But you can't. You know, it's a narrative. You know,
It changed back when he sells them a bunch of bombs. Be like, "Woo, thank you." Hillary was good at that.
Yeah.
Hillary was much better at weapon sales. Don't ever tell the I'm with her group that Hillary sold weapons. It's like, no, she was a champion for human rights and F-15s. Mm-hmm. Yeah. She liked her F-15s. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, we don't have enough time to go through all this news. You got to pick one more story and then we're out of here.
All right, okay. Then I will pick, Germany. Of course, I got to talk about Germany and the new ambassador we got from you in America. Thank you very much for him.
So we picked one? Holy shit.
No, you didn't. Trump did, and of course it was a complete failure. This guy, Richard Grenell, he didn't have a foot on German soil while he put out a tweet directly after Trump said that the U.S. gets out of the Iran treaty. And this tweet reads as follows. As @real Donald Trump said, U.S. sanctions will target critical sectors of Iran's economy. German companies doing business in Iran should wind down operations immediately. So, and maybe you can imagine the fallout of this tweet. You know, he was not even, he did not even our president to give his signature that he is now confirmed to be the ambassador of the U.S. in Germany. He came here, just what I said earlier, what was written in the article earlier, as a colonialist telling us what to do. And yes, this is not the best impression he made. It resulted in thousands of angry posts alone in the Handelsblatt news magazine, which basically had the message that he should butt out of Germany again. You know, that we don't want him here. And the funny thing is, when I checked him, who is Richard Grenell, I found out that he is already known in America. He's known as a Twitter troll. And the funny thing is, hold on, we got it. Grenell, who once served the Bush administration as an UN ambassador, John Bolton's spokesman, was forced to delete hundreds of sexist, rude comments from his Twitter feed in 2012. During his brief tenure as foreign affairs spokesman for Mitt Romney's presidential campaign. The uproar over his tweets at this time, combined with the anger from Republicans, homophobes who objected to the fact that he was gay, led to Grenell's resignation from the Romney campaign just days after he had joined it. And then it goes on and on and on. And he is trolling journalists. He is trolling women in politics because of their outward appearance and so on. And yeah, this creep is now your ambassador in Germany. And yeah. And in all this mess, what Trump did, this guy, you know, this is too much, you know. And it would be really the best if this guy packs his bags and gets to America or whoever. We don't want this asshole here.
Am I reading what you have here, that he is gay and a sexist?
Yes.
How the hell do you do that?
It can happen, you know. if you're a Republican, if you are chosen by Trump, you are surprised about this shit.
If you're a special kind of asshole.
Actually, I mean, you're right, and I should have just thought of my Catholic roots. Cognitive dissonance is how do you do one thing on Sunday and the other 6 other days a week? Cognitive dissonance. Yeah. So it's possible.
And if you want to get one positive message out of it, you know, you can see the change of values within the Republicans. You know, in the old days they made him resign because he was gay, and now they're getting much more tolerant over the years. You know? Accepting a gay Republican in office as an ambassador in Germany, it's a progress, right?
It is.
Not.
I mean, that's like the Republicans tweeting out with their official Twitter account, being all like, Gina Haspel, she's a woman. We need her in the CIA. Progress.
Yeah, progress.
Well, you know, I want equal rights for torturers, right? I want half my torturers to be female.
Yeah.
And don't listen to John McCain because you know anyway.
Well, yeah, not even going to go there.
Yeah.
Can I ask Markus a question though, like really quickly? How does Germany cover Trump? Like in what way? Do they cover it like, oh, he's a buffoon and he's also kind of dangerous, or like what kind of attitudes does like the media have toward Trump?
Our mainstream news normally bring the news. They try. I think we are much more, to say it like this, we are much more objective in our mainstream news than America.
Hold up the Der Spiegel cover again. I think that works.
Now, Der Spiegel is not mainstream news.
I'm talking about TV news. All the magazines and TV shows here in Germany. Yes. The last statistic I saw that there was a favorability rate for Trump about 11%, and I'm pretty sure that these assholes are the AfD voters here in Germany. You know?
They have an 11% hold. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, yeah. Because I don't know anyone in my neighborhood or in friends anyway, not who have any sympathy for this buffoon.
Damn, there goes your audio again.
Okay, we don't like the buffoon.
Yeah, thank you.
The short answer.
That was exactly that's all we need to hear. Yeah,
I mean, like that. It was interesting to me because I was watching Japanese news media a few days ago because I know how to speak Japanese, so I can understand the language, and they do tend to be a little bit more objective when it comes to foreign news. When it comes to domestic news, they have a whole different issue, but when it comes to international news, they tend to be objective, and they didn't tend to have like commentators on to discuss like the news of the day. And one of the trends I noticed is that they have commentators in Japan who talk about Trump, and they're like, oh, he's a mastermind genius who knows how to play 3D chess, and he has a plan going. I'm like, no, he doesn't. He's a fucking buffoon. He has no idea what he's doing. He just listens to who was talking last in the room. That's basically Trump. But like, there are commentators who like seem to really be really going off and saying, hey, I think Trump has a plan. We just don't see it yet. He's doing this in this way because he sees things as it is. I'm like, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I really don't think so.
It'd be nice to think that is the case, but
yeah,
unfortunately, that's giving him a little too much. But there are people playing 3D chess.
Yeah,
no doubt. He's just not.
He's just not Trump.
No.
I will bet you whatever I own, I don't care, that he doesn't even know how to play chess.
Yeah.
Let's not even add 3 dimensions to the shit. Like, if you give him checkers, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where are the dice, damn it?
Right, right. If it's not played in a casino, right. Yeah. And I don't remember chess for money. And last time I was in Vegas. So, but anyway, it's a good question. How does mainstream media in other countries cover?
Yeah. I think in Europe, it's maybe the press is better in Poland, in Hungary, but this has other reasons.
All right.
Because they are right wingers also, but yeah.
Yeah. See, Brom, I'm with you right there. Brom says his brother's sexist and gay as well. That's interesting combo.
Yeah.
It's hard to do. Impressive. We're going to get out of here.
Yep.
So let's talk about what we got coming up.
Okay.
See,
so
Eric
tomorrow night in Progressive California, David Hildebrand.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about he's part of our countdown to the California primary series. I always just enjoy talking to him. He knows so much about what's going on. He's political strategist. He's based in analyst. He's based in Sacramento. He sees a lot, and he's running for Senate, and he's our friend. So he's going to come on and just talk to us about stuff going on in California.
Cool.
Then on Monday night, do you have I think you have the card for Eric.
I do. I am.
So we've got Eric Rydberg, who's running for Secretary of State in California in the Green Party. His campaign slogan is "Defend Democracy, Protect the Vote," and his platform is as California Secretary of State and Chief Elections Officer, which is the main thing that the Secretary of State does, obviously. I will ensure accurate, transparent, and verifiable vote counts in all California elections. I will defend our democracy and protect your vote. And some of his hashtags are mandatory recounts, hand-counted paper ballots, ranked choice voting, proportional representation, and end the top 2 solidarity, which is an issue with our elections. So that is Monday.
All right, hang on though, because you can see this. Do you see the problem with the card? We got to ask Nancy to redo it or Ash to redo it. And Ash, I saw you were in the audience, but this is great. He's a candidate for Secretary of Secretary of State.
Secretary.
Is that like if you change it to Secretary, that would be like never mind.
Secretary of State. Oh my goodness, I apologize. I did not proofread that when I came to you with my glasses on. So
that's awesome.
I know
there we go.
This can happen.
Anyway. All right, let's see if we did better with Brian Kim. Did you have Brian? Oh.
You know, just to be everybody, we got 2 people that do the majority of graphics for everything we got going on. So I'm not complaining at all because we can't afford to lose any of them.
And they have both been completely swamped and or out of town.
You're
completely.
Wonderful. Don't leave us.
Yes,
okay.
please.
No.
So on Wednesday, we have Brian Kim, who's running for candidate for California District 53. I took a look at his platform, and it's quite robust. Looking forward to talking to him. His major planks, of course, being healthcare, tuition-free college, repeal Citizens United, green jobs and infrastructure, unions, the Federal Reserve, offshoring jobs, right to privacy, women's rights, gun control, net neutrality, the war on drugs, endangered species, and energy independence. So he's got it covered.
And he's running as a Democrat, or?
He is running as a Democrat.
Wow.
I believe. Now you got me. Now you got me questioning. I've done a couple of corrections right in the show. It's like,
can I just state this? It doesn't
Brian
matter.
is independent candidate.
He is independent.
It doesn't
Yes,
matter.
Brian Kim.
Sorry, you guys.
If you're running as a progressive Democrat, you could be running as an independent because you have
Yes.
just about as much power.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, you know, whether you choose D or I or NPP,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah, so Brian is an independent, but he's got an excellent platform. We're looking forward to talking to him on Wednesday.
Neighbors mowing his lawn, everybody.
Neighbors mowing his lawn.
Yay.
It's a good
That
time
must
to.
mean it's time to stop.
No, it's a good time to mention. No, it's not like my neighbor knows. It's like, hey, every Saturday, just don't do anything on your farm until I'm done with my show. Right? Just like, you know. And another good reason to mention that we really are trying to move this entire production studio out of here into somewhere with climate control and no flies. Because there will be flies here, in here, everywhere in about a month.
Everywhere.
Yeah. And
it's farm.
Frightening. Yeah, it's the farm. So anyway, that just means that this little tight-knit group that watches these shows needs to share our content because you're all tapped out. So just find other people and shake their trees. That's okay. There we go. Oh, neighbor stopped. What do you know?
Oh, yay.
Nice.
Time to empty the bag.
All right. Yes.
We got a couple minutes.
All right. So is that it? What else? Is that all the stuff?
Well, unless you wanted to mention anything about Progressive Oregon or Progressive Washington for that show.
Well, somewhere I had slides. I don't know what I did.
We have a card. There was a card for Progressive Oregon. We switched right over, actually. So tomorrow we will do, because the Oregon primary on Tuesday, so there's a countdown show.
Yeah, this is happening tomorrow. Larry's going to go over what's going on, what's going down with the Oregon primary and the things that are important. And then Tuesday, we're going to have a election night coverage. Larry and Betsy are supposed to be getting together the data, and we'll be, running the numbers. And what makes it kind of cool with Oregon is that we should know, right? It's not going to be one of those things where we're left hanging unless it's a super tight race, because most of the ballots are going to be in already, because Oregon's cool like that. So by 10
what makes
PM,
Oregon so cool?
Mail in.
Weed.
Oh.
But no. Oh,
Weed.
Sorry. No.
Well, yeah.
That was just an auto response. I'm sorry.
This was fast. This was honest, John.
It was.
You're only mail, right?
Involuntary system. Yeah.
There are no poll. There's not a day at the polls. That's just Tuesdays when you can drop your mail in.
Oh, so they all get a mail-in ballot then?
Everybody gets a mail-in ballot, and if you really are too lazy to put it in the mail in time, then you suck as a voter. You just suck. But I wish I had the chart. I wish I had this chart. Let me tell you the scariest thing. And I don't know how many of you watching or will watch later are in Oregon and just know this. The highest percentage of voters, and Larry has access to a lot of voter data because of his role in the Democratic Party. Hope nobody watching hears that. The average age, the average voting age for Democrats in Oregon is 61.
Average?
Wow.
Average.
Oh.
The average voting age in HD 32, which was one of the races he was looking at, was 66.
Oh my.
If you want to affect change, it's the young people and the people that are younger, 40 younger, right? Because who's controlling the democracy in Oregon, and why do we keep getting the same blue dog goddamn Democrats or Republicans that have been there forever? The old people that remember voting for that name for the last 30 fucking years.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
that's
voters that have
Frank
been there
Smith.
forever.
I always vote for Frank.
Yes.
Yeah. Frank has fucked you for the last 30 years, but you keep voting for fucking Frank there, dude.
He was a nice guy back in the 90s.
Right.
Sent me a calendar once.
Frank bought me a coffee. So please use.
Wow. Wait, is it because of the population in Oregon, or is it just simply young people aren't as active in Oregon?
Young people aren't as active in the West. In the West, I mean, it's frightening. I mean, there's a lot more old people being involved in politics and controlling the game, and that's part of the problem. The Parkland shooting did more to get young people involved than anything else.
Yeah.
Bernie got people motivated,
Bernie
but the
did,
Parkland shooting really drove the youth. Go get your ass registered high school kid at 17 so that you don't die in a school near you. That's pretty imperative. When you're like, I don't want to die, I think I'll vote.
But that youth vote, like even that, unless the candidate is really able to reach them, like they're not gonna go out and vote. Like I have plenty of friends who, after Bernie Sanders got screwed in the actually, I have a lot of friends who weren't even able to vote for Bernie Sanders in the primaries because of their name, because their name got crossed, like because their name was missing from the voters list. And like they were like, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm not gonna even go vote in November. I'm like, well, what if it's between Hillary Clinton and Trump? And they're like, yeah, I don't care. I'm like, well, we could always vote for Joe Stein. They're like, yeah, I don't care. So
yeah,
that's who they have to reach out to. But you know, Democrats aren't gonna do that. So
no, because I really don't think they're interested. They've got what they want. They're happy with the distraction. They're happy with the way they're moving the government forward. They don't. Everything's good with them. They just have to pretend that they're concerned and move forward. But remember, that's party leadership. And we're attempting to take over that party leadership. That's what sucks so much.
That's going to change. Some now, some in 2 years. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. I keep forgetting, by the way. You guys are having a great conversation in chat.
Oh, yeah. Ashley already fixed Eric's card and he just uploaded it again. Thank you.
Thank you, Ash. That's fast.
See,
that's some fast work.
Instant. We've had some good examples of our instantaneity here.
Flash Ash.
Flash Ash. Nice. Nice. All right, we're getting out of here, I swear.
All right, yeah.
Do we have anything else? No. There was just David Hildebrand and then our guest. And what's the song, Marcus? You picked another interesting one.
His audio's just not there.
Marcus, you died now. Boy, they really made you quiet.
I die. I'm back.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
Bigger emoji.
Okay, don't worry. I don't start to sing right now. Yes, I would like to introduce you to a new genre. I don't know if it's really a new genre, but it is described as this. It is called Freak Folk or New Weird America. And they are Cocorosi, two sisters from the US. For a long time, as I assume, lived in France, in Paris, and they formed the Cocorosi. And this song was extra written for Donald Trump when he got voted. And it's a protest song against Trump, and I like it, and I hope you enjoy it too. Thank you for what.
And it's not a cannabis song.
It is not a cannabis song.
Disappointed, John.
No. This is only for later when we go out, and just a happy weekend.
Happy weekend. I like that. But hopefully the weed will never end.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. This is goodbye, everybody.
Have a great weekend. Bye,
everybody.
guys.
See you tomorrow.
See ya.
Show you what they look like here anyway. It's not a video though.
slaughter, raging death, ice fall, hothouse burned down, foes upon foes. West to east it goes, the dead girl says, let's just be friends. In the glorious tone of marrow and bone, these days of ore, the chance we meet once more. The smoke, lightning, crack asunder, the boom of guns, the peal of thunder.